What's going on YouTube? I've got another fun one for you today. The algorithm has spoken and told me that tier lists are indeed the hot new thing. And you guys liked the last one so much that I am back with the official Season 10 Legend tier list for the Battle Royale in Apex Legends Emergence. I'm here with all the information you need if you're trying to pick up a new legend or just find your place in the meta. As always, if you like this content, be sure to let me know down below, leave a like, share it with a friend, and consider subscribing to the channel. You guys have been popping off lately with the subs, and I want to keep that momentum going. But without further ado, I'm Brad from Last Call Gaming. Let's tap into it. As per usual, we have a quick disclaimer. This tier list is my opinion. It is based on what legends I believe are the most competitively viable. This list is for people trying to pick up a new legend, play ranked, or go for wins in pubs. It is not a tier list of the thickest legend with the best lore. If you disagree, let me know in the comments, but please keep it classy. Remember, at the end of the day, the best legend is the one that you enjoy playing the most. With that out of the way, let's get started. First things first, a quick breakdown of how I'm doing the tiers, which is a little bit different than you might expect. S tier picks are always viable. I'm probably gonna spend the least amount of time on these legends because they're fairly self-explanatory. They have a low skill floor, a high skill ceiling, and are fairly easy to pick up and find value in. A tier legends are solid choices who will always fit in comps with S tier legends. The only thing that separates them really are a handful of things that they're missing from S tier legends. B tier are the specialist picks. These tend to be off meta picks or legends with a skill floor so high that it's very hard to find value with them unless you spend a lot of time focusing on them. I will likely be spending a lot of time explaining this. C tier are fine picks. These are just sort of your average run-of-the-mill picks. There's nothing particularly special about them. They can be S tier, but then again, everything on this list can be S tier if you're a good player. And D tier are meme picks. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. We're gonna start off this list with a little bit of controversy. Bangalore, B tier, specialist pick. There is nothing particularly overwhelming about her kit. In the wrong hands, she will smoke out her team. Good Bangalore players are scary. Good every player is scary. I don't care that Bangalore can run fast. Her kit is just nothing particularly exciting. And for that reason, B tier. Bloodhound is S tier. This should be of no surprise to anyone. Their kit is still, even with the existence of Seer, one of the best kits in the game. They're super easy to pick up, they're super user-friendly, and the intel that they get is super useful for their team. Not much to be said, S tier. Caustic, recently buffed, A tier. Caustic is scary and oppressive again. I had to think long and hard about this one because Caustic has been out of the meta for so long, but his gas is straight up oppressive now. It's now actually a factor. You have to pay attention to where it is. If you get trapped at the wrong time, dead. Everyone's favorite mad scientist is now back up to A tier. Crypto, B tier. Crypto will always be a B tier pick for me unless they change something about his kit. He is one of the hardest legends to play in the game. He is still an incredibly viable intel gatherer. But unfortunately, there are maybe 5 good crypto players on the planet, and all of them are already Predator. He's an insanely hard legend to pick up. You can get value out of him, but you have to spend time learning his kit. His skill floor is insanely high. His skill ceiling is even higher. If you find a good crypto player, bring them onto your team, marry them if you have to. There are rumors that crypto is getting reworks this season, but until that time, B tier. Fusey, 4 buffs this season, 3 direct, 1 indirect with the existence of the Rampage. Fuse has been a problem child for the Respawn devs since his launch. He's still kind of a problem child. He's significantly better than he was at launch. And I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one, but Fuse to me is a specialist pick now. He's not completely worthless. With the existence of the Rampage, if this guy has a Rampage and stocks up on Thermite, he's just gonna melt people.
Okay, I got an El Camino full of Rampage here, so what's the plan?
You look at that clip and tell me Fuse isn't driving an El Camino anyway. He has area denial, it's strong. He can break through doors with twice the efficacy now. With the proper planning, you can find value with Fuse. But again, it's hard to do so, and so I can't put him higher than this, and he's almost C tier because of it. Gibbathy. Gibraltar, S tier. This man hasn't moved from S tier for months and months and months. Super strong. Has a moderately high skill floor, but you will never go wrong playing Gibraltar. He's very, very difficult to play wrong. Even when you don't get the most value, you can still get a fair amount of value out of his kit. And for that reason, S tier. Space Mommy. Recent buffs making her one of the best movement characters in the game. Again, finally. Miss Frizzle is going all the way back up to A tier, and I'm very happy to see her there again. She now competes again with Octane as one of the best movers in the game. She can take height quickly, she's super fun to play, and she can be super, super oppressive in the right hands. The only reason right now that she's not S tier is because she's a little harder to play than Octane, and she isn't quite as good for rotations. Space Mommy, Horizon, A tier. Lifeline's actually taken a bit of a hit this season. She hasn't gotten nerfed or buffed in any particularly meaningful way. There are just so many more choices that can get more value than she provides these days. She used to be an A tier choice for me. She's actually fallen quite a bit down to C tier for me. She's just fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with her kit. In fact, her tap res is still a very powerful tool. I think she serves a bigger purpose in arenas than she does in battle royales right now. That's a separate tier list, but for that reason, she's staying in C tier. Loba. I'm about to make everybody mad with this one.
Then everything changed. changed when the
Simps.
attacked.
You know what? No, I'm gonna do this. Loba gets her own tier. This one was tricky for me. I actually had to think about this one for a while as well. Loba is not S tier. Loba is certainly not A tier. Loba is not that hard to play, so she's not a specialist pick. Since they fixed her Q, she's gotten a lot cagier in fights. So if you don't keep track of a good Loba player, she's gonna come back and kill you. Her passive is always nice to have around if you're a Loba player. If you happen to have a Loba player that communicates with you, her passive is also nice to have around. Despite being a distraction for her team, she's a little bit better than B tier, but not quite A tier for me. And for that reason, Loba gets her own tier this time around. Mirage, our first entry into the meme tier. Sad boy here is not doing so hot right now. If you're a Mirage player, I'm sorry. He just doesn't bring anything overly meaningful to the table. Oh, but invisible res. Well, yeah, that's cool, but it still makes a hell of a lot of noise. And unless you're carrying a gold bag, your enemy's going to hear it. They're gonna find you when you come out of it, and they're gonna kill you both real quickly. It sure is fun to bamboozle people every now and again, but to be honest with you, it doesn't help your team any. He's just a fun legend, but as far as competitive viability goes, he's a meme. It's unfortunate, maybe they'll buff him in the future, but for now, he's a meme tier. Octane. This crackhead's going to S tier again. He hasn't been nerfed, so he's still strong. He's still super easy to pick up. He's amazing for rotations for your team. On top of all that, he's really, really fun to play. I recommend everybody give him a try at some point. S tier. Pathy. Pathy's going into A tier, and this one was tricky too. I almost put him as a specialist. He's still really fun to play. Everybody loves Marvin. His movement is fun, and his zipline still has a lot of use. Unfortunately, he doesn't get quite as much value as these S tier legends here, but he's no slouch either. And for that reason, he's a solid choice. A tier. Rampart. I think everybody saw this coming. Rampart's fun to play. Rampart's not useful. Way too stationary. Sheila's probably the worst ultimate in the game. You can make her work, but again, if you're a good player, everybody on this list works. Competitive viability, not really there. She's about to get a huge rework this season, but until then, she's just a meme tier for me. Revenant. Specialist pick. Revenant isn't overly hard to play, but Revenant's value comes from being paired with other legends. If Revenant doesn't have an Octane or a movement-based legend to perform crazy rotations to get the full value out of his death totem, there are better choices that you should pick. Now, I am not condoning Revtane meta, but I will acknowledge that it exists and it is a viable option. Revenant is a solid choice if you're not the most confident in a team fight. I am not personally going to shame you for it, but that's just kind of where he sits. And for that reason, he's B tier to me. Lil Nas Apex. Seer is going to S tier. Seer now competes with Bloodhound. They sort of fill the same role, but Seer is not necessarily better than Bloodhound. They are both still good in their own way. They're two different play styles, and combined, I think we're gonna see them as part of the major meta this season. Seer isn't particularly hard to play, but his abilities need managed properly. And when managed properly, they're super useful. I'll have a guide on how to play Seer coming out soon. I've been having a lot of fun with him. He's definitely someone you should have in your back pocket if you have the opportunity. S tier. Baby Viper. Valkyrie. A tier. She hasn't moved much. She's one of the most balanced legends in the game. She's very strong. She's very useful. She's a little bit too complicated for me to put in S tier. Her movement is as such that if you get it wrong, it's gonna get you killed. But she's great for rotations. She's great for taking height. She's great for going on flanks. Very aggressive legend. Multitude of play styles. Super, super fun to play. I highly recommend you take the time to pick her up. You won't regret it. A tier. Watson, Watson, Watson. What do we do with you? B tier. She's another one who is due for a series of buffs. And until then, she is staying in B tier because right now it's very hard to get value out of her. A lot of bunker legends are like that, unfortunately. They get overshadowed by the movement. Good Watson players are loyal to her, and good Watson players are terrifying. But she's another one where her current value has a very, very high skill floor. If you get to that level and you have the communication with your team, she's very useful still, but she is struggling right now, which is unfortunate, so we'll have to see what happens when they buff her. But for right now, she's a specialist pick in my opinion, and so for that reason, she's B tier. And finally, your goth girlfriend Wraith, S tier. Another one that hasn't changed too much. I think with the way the gameplay is right now, she could do with her instant Q back, but she doesn't by any means need it. As an entry fragger, she's still top of the board, and her portal is tactically one of the best ultimates in the game. I've personally been playing a lot of Wraith recently. I've really enjoyed it. I'm having a lot of fun with her. She's super viable right now and someone else you should get really, really comfortable with playing because you can't really go wrong having a Wraith on your team. One of the smallest hitboxes in the game. She feels fast to play, and for that reason, S tier. And so that's where I stand on the Season 10 Legends. Like I said at the beginning, these are of course my opinion, and you are free to disagree with me. Just keep it classy in the comments and I will probably respond to you. Some of the things that I said are meant to be both funny and informative, so don't take anything too seriously, but understand that the information is meant to be good still. But for right now, that's pretty much it. And so that is your definitive Season 10 Legend tier list for Battle Royale. Thank you for coming to my lecture. If I didn't simp hard enough for a legend that you like, let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, let me know as well, and leave this video a like. Consider subscribing to the channel as well, and if you want to interact with me personally, I am live right here on YouTube every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. But until that time, thank you so very, very much for watching, and until next time, cheers.